Hi, and welcome back to another video of me sharing my experience with TryHackMe. Uh, I am taking a network engineering class. It is a fundamentals class from the University of Advancing Technology, and we are using TryHackMe. And I am doing these videos, a video series, just sharing my screen and telling you my experience. So, my experiences. For this Try Hack Me room, I completed the Extending Your Network room. So, this was the last challenge. Let's start from the beginning. So, introduction to port forwarding. Now, as you notice this time, if you've watched the previous videos, in the previous videos, we had John with TryHackMe, and he was walking through all of the concepts, giving context to each of the tasks and lessons within the room. We don't have that this time. So just note that. Um, and I kind of liked it for two reasons. One, I could listen to my YouTube like music in the background while I'm studying. And then also I could do outside research and then type notes in Outlook, not Outlook, but in Notes, like the Microsoft Notes version. So that was cool. Anyways, so looking at port forwarding, also known as port mapping, this one out the gate for me it wasn't a very clear lesson. I mean, it tells you what it is and it gives the graphics, so that's really good. Um, but I used outside research to make it make sense for me. So essentially, this concept reminds me of network addressing translation. And upon further research, I did find that port forwarding is an application of NAT. So my takeaway from this from TryHackMe is that mapping is making network available to the internet, making the network more accessible to send and receive information over the internet. That's kind of what I grasped from this. I hope that's right. If it's not, feel free to let me know if it's not. I'm learning. So, then we're on to task two, which is Firewalls 101. It's pretty straightforward. The question about the OSI models, make sure that you list them in order or it'll mark the uh, answer incorrect. So if you flip it, like put it backwards, it'll mark it as incorrect. So make sure it's in order. And the answer to the question actually isn't in the task itself. But if you recall the other rooms, I believe the one on OSI model, and it's in there, or you can also refer to notes, which is what I did. So then that brings us to the first challenge, which is the practical, which is about firewall. Now, this one I had a little bit of trouble with at first. So I kept pressing the add. Okay, so let's just start. So directions, deploy the static site attached to this task. Malicious traffic are marked in as packets in red. Legitimate packets are green. The protocol you need to block is port 80. Configure the firewall to prevent the malicious packets from reaching web server 203.0.110.1, which is, as you can see through here, is the end point. So upon opening this, I read it a little bit, like I read the instructions, but I still wasn't quite grasping it. So I just kind of started and was just like, oh, okay, well, add, blah, 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 and just kind of playing around with stuff and not really paying attention to what I was doing and yada, yada, whoop de woo. And then eventually it just kind of did this, and then it's going to do it. Hold on. Boom. That happened. So then I failed. I didn't get the flag yet. And then so I kept redoing it. So then after some like outside research, I actually did turn to find AI to walk me through to better understand. Maybe the directions were a little too short and straightforward. I don't know. But once I got that walkthrough through an AI assistant, I was able to say, oh, I get it. So the source is point 34. So you want to block that. Port 80, you want to block that. The destination is point, where is it? 1. Add rule. And then you just keep clicking add rule. Just keep clicking. Click it as fast as you can, over and over, blah, blah, blah. And hopefully, let's see. You got it. So that's all this challenge is. It ends up being pretty straightforward, but it did take me a little time to get it. So I just helped you out. You're welcome. Next, we have VPN basics. Pretty straightforward, a little bit of outside research. In class, we learned about port forwarding. And just a little note, side note, not even mentioned in here, port forwarding and VPNs are not the same, but it made me think of it. So whatever. Yeah, not the same. Just again, just a little whatever outside note. But that's a pretty straightforward. Then we have LAN networking devices, which basically just talks about routers and switches. So that's pretty straightforward. And then the last challenge is the network simulator. This one was actually very easy. So it tells you right here too. Now this one's a little more, I think it was a little more straightforward for me, easier to grasp. So you just try sending a TCP packet type. Let's see. I believe it's from 1 to 3. Yes, from computer 1 to computer 3 to reveal flag. So 1 selected, to 3, select that. And super easy, send packet. It'll do stuff, it'll log, it'll do a session log. And then once it does that, then you'll get the flag, and then it'll ask another question, and then you solve, and then you answer the question. But it also then gives a demo of what this is doing. When you're sending the packet from computer 1 to 3, this is what's happening. So that's pretty cool. So, and there you goes the flag. Boom. And then that was how I completed it. For this room, you don't have to add another room to complete this room. It just ended. So yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, as long as they're nice, please feel free to leave them below.